Hey guys, do you know what I love about visiting comic book conventions? Seeing those little DVD booths where they sell movies and TV shows that distributors have just completely forgotten about. You know the kind of movies and shows I mean. The unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. My friends, can your heart stand the shocking fan film of Plan 9 from Outer Space? Yeah, I honestly never thought I'd be reviewing the same movie twice on this show. Today's movie, cleverly titled Plan 9.1 from Outer Space, is a tribute to Ed Wood's magnum opus, directed by Ernie Fosselius. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that name, he's the director of the very first Star Wars spoof in existence, Hardware Wars. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend that you pause this video and look it up on YouTube. Anyway, I stumbled across this little movie at WonderCon a few weeks ago, and I was pretty excited to see it. A retelling of one of the goofiest movies ever made by a guy who knows how to pull off a good parody in spite of a modest budget, and with puppets of all things? This is gonna be hilarious! And then the movie starts. Our movie begins just like the real Plan 9 from Outer Space, with outtakes.
Come on, Ed. Let's just shoot this thing.
Camera rolling. Give me a slate, Jimmy.
Reed Roberts from Outer Space. Scene 26, take 6.
Okay, Tor, action.
Line?
I remind you, this movie is supposed to be a tribute to the films of Ed Wood. Now, I admit to not seeing every single one of his movies, like, say, the monster porno flicks that he made at the end of his career, but I'm pretty sure that he didn't put outtakes into his movies. And you'll immediately notice that the puppetry in this movie is, well, lacking, let's call it. Criswell gives his opening monologue, and all we get is his mouth moving up and down. Come on, I know that he's just a talking head in this movie, but you can give us more than that. It kinda looks like he's reading from cue cards in the original movie, so why not make fun of that?
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are. Here. That is why you are here. Did we get it?
Let us reward the guilty. Let us punish the innocent. My friend, let us punish the guilty. Let us reward the innocent.
Yes, because a guy like Criswell, who constantly made live TV appearances, would naturally be the type to flub his lines, right? After the gravediggers get killed by the freshly reanimated corpse of Vampira, we meet Inspector Daniel Clay scoping out the crime scene.
Who found them?
The man and girl.
Medical examiner been around yet?
Just left. The morgue wagon ought to be along most any time.
You get their statement?
Yeah, much as we could.
Finding
Pretty scared.
a mess like this ought to make anyone not frightened.
Okay, Tor Johnson stumbling over his lines is kinda funny. And that bit of funny is squelched with another outtake, this time revolving around a microphone malfunction. You know, there are a lot of ways you can make fun of Ed Wood's movies, but you're gonna pick on the sound quality? Really? If you're gonna make jokes about a movie's inaudible soundtrack, do it with movies that are actually inaudible.
I know. I heard you talking to yourself last night while you were sleeping.
No, it's about the craziest dream I've ever had.
It must have been about that crazy chick, Carmelita.
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Inspector Clay gets killed by the corpse of Bela Lugosi, whom we've never been introduced to before, and then we cut back to the lieutenant and Kelton the cop for some more witty banter.
Say, Lieutenant, did you get that funny odor?
How could I miss it?
Truly the peak of comedic writing. We then meet our young hero Jeff and his wife Paula talking about his UFO encounter, which we never saw. Recreating the cockpit scene could have been a perfect opportunity to make fun of the crappy set design, but no, much more important to turn Paula into Ed Wood and drag, and get a visual pun about Jeff being muzzled by army brass.
I can't say a word. I'm muzzled by army brass.
Funny. Next scene! Actually, what's funny about this scene is that there are directors out there who think that having the actors' backs to the audience would be the superior way to shoot the scene, even if they didn't have a dramatic or comedic reveal like this movie. They would either call it being avant-garde, or they just wouldn't know that it's kind of stupid to not include the audience. So really, all that this scene does is remind us that in spite of all of Ed Wood's faults as a director, at least the guy did know how to block a scene.
People turning south from the freeway were startled when they saw 3 flying saucers high over Hollywood Boulevard.
And this would also be a fun scene to recreate by putting the puppet characters on Hollywood Boulevard to witness the saucers on location, but nope! All we get is a salad bowl flying across a backdrop. Again, I find myself giving more praise to Ed Wood than I probably should be. He may have had more unnecessary narration than most other movies out there, but at least the narration was backed up by visuals of what was being narrated. He actually got that you're supposed to show, not tell. And in the original movie, we then cut to Colonel Edwards and his army of stock footage firing at the saucers. But in this movie, we see Colonel Edwards and a "Stock Footage Here" title card. Seriously, this director couldn't even spring for putting the stock footage from the original movie into this, which I wager would look appropriately silly, seeing human beings in this world of cheaply made puppets.
I wonder what their next move will be.
What will their next move be?
I imagine something lazy and sloppy. Oh yes, lazy and sloppy is exactly what we get in this scene. We see Eros talking to his commander about the progress of his mission to destroy Earth, and can you guess what the joke in this scene is? The commander slowly dips lower and lower beneath his desk. Because he's a puppet, and puppets do that. Are you laughing yet? Why aren't you laughing? I'll tell you why you aren't laughing. Because crappy puppeteering just isn't funny. Look at Team America, World Police. Sure, it gets off some visual jokes that come from how they're obviously puppets, but those only work because the rest of the acting for the puppets is pretty damn good. We laugh at this poorly choreographed fight scene, but only because the puppeteering that preceded it built it up, and the cinematography sells it like it's a legitimately kick-ass action scene.
You lose.
But when the entire movie is bad puppeteering, it just gets tedious and boring. And it especially makes no sense in this scene. Why is the commander falling over in his chair when that never happens in the original movie? You can't spoof something if there isn't something there to actually spoof. That's like trying to rip off Tommy Wiseau by not being socially awkward. It just can't work. Oh, and it turns out that Eros' assistant Tina is just Eros' hand. Well, that's certainly, something-ish?
You know, it's an interesting thing when you consider the Earth people who can think are so frightened by those who cannot.
Oh, isn't that just adorable? The movie's trying to be topical and relevant, despite Bush being out of office for a year by the time it was released. We then jump back to the cops who discover the empty grave of Inspector Clay, and of course it's made up entirely out of outtakes because it was just so funny the first time, right? And then we jump ahead to when after Eros' flying saucer lands, because it's a parody and logical story progression can just go right out the window, right? And they all go inside.
Never heard metal sound like that before.
Oh yes, because that was so funny the first time too, right? It's like the old saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, continue doing the exact same thing completely oblivious to the fact that it already failed before. They meet Eros inside, and he explains his reasons for wanting to destroy humanity.
First was your firecracker, then your hand grenade, then the bomb, then a larger bomb. Then your scientists stumbled upon the atom bomb, then the hydrogen bomb. The only explosion left is the solarite.
Why, there's no such thing.
Your scientists will stumble upon it as they have all the others, but the juvenile minds which you possess will not comprehend its strength until it's too late. When you have the solarite, you have nothing, nor does the universe.
He's mad.
Mad? Is it mad that you destroy other people to save yourselves?
Okay, now to be totally fair, talking through a puppet to explain how not mad you are is actually pretty hilarious.
How then is it mad that one planet must destroy another who threatens the very existence?
That's enough!
You speak of solar and night, but just what is it?
Eros explains how Solarmanite explodes sunlight in a similar fashion to igniting a line of gasoline, and then he demonstrates it by spreading gasoline all over the spaceship and his guests and lighting them on fire. Oh my god! Another legitimately funny joke! And it's all the funnier since this shit catching fire makes more sense here than it did in the original movie. There's not a whole lot of this movie left, but they finally figured out how to make it funny! Great! How does it end? The end? If it's not the end now, I'm turning it off anyway since there's nothing that you can do to keep me watching. So that was Plan 9.1 from Outer Space. And it's just one more example of a remake being worse than the original. Don't get me wrong, Plan 9 is a bad movie, and it has plenty of material that can be spoofed and parodied. But you need to put actual effort into it. The puppeteering is bad, most of the jokes aren't funny, the retelling of the original story is even sloppier here than it is in the original, and it's all the more disappointing since it was made from a guy who, again, seems to know a thing or two about making a good parody. Hardware Wars is great, but I am never seeing this movie again.
Well, after your description, I don't think I'd want to see it either.
The only good thing I can say about this movie is that it makes Ed Wood look legitimately talented by comparison. If you want to watch Plan 9, just stick with the real Plan 9.
I miss you more than Michael Bay missed the mark when he made Pearl Harbor. I miss you more than that movie missed the point. And that's an awful lot, girl. And now you've gone away. And all I'm trying to say is Pearl Harbor sucked, and I miss you. Like Ben Affleck needs acting school. He was terrible in that film. I need you like Cuba Gooding needed a bigger part. He's way better than Ben Affleck, and now all I can think about is your smile and that shitty movie too. Pearl Harbor sucked, and I miss you. Sucked just a little bit more than I miss you.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, watch more.